So I'm gonna pass the mic to Chief Lacey. He's gonna talk to you about the nightclubs and all the issues we've been having in our town. So before y'all wrote them stories, you should have came and got real interviews from the people that got the real facts, not people that just accusing and lying on people that's gonna end up in lawsuits. And watch what you say, residents and other people that just go on the news lying on people. That's defamation of character. But y'all don't see that. Y'all just keep going with it just because it's traction for your network. That's not cool. All right.
Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today we got to talk about what went down on the fittingly set on April Fool's Day Dolton Board Meeting, because it was an absolute disaster in every possible way. It was ridiculous. It was absurd. All the things that I normally say were included in this particular meeting, plus implied or potential threats that needed the meeting to be shut down. Now, we're going to get into this, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who signed up over at naturaljusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
And remind you that on Saturday, April 27th, I will be at Mindsfest in Austin, Texas. Link to tickets, top of the description. Promo code AJW for 20% off. So there's actually a couple of updates that we missed related to this story. For instance, Tiffany Henyard, who claims that she is 25-0 in lawsuits, recently lost a lawsuit. And one of the issues that she lost on was the fact that she was sending out checks, sometimes for up to $500,000 without the secondary signatures that was required. So they ended up putting somebody back on the bank account who Tiffany Henyard had removed in order to make sure that they're not scheming and scamming with the finances as much as they are. Now, Nate the lawyer actually has a breakdown video of this if you want to learn about it in more details, but one of the things that is unfortunate is that they did not win on one particular case, not because the merits of the case were illegitimate, but because they were technically suing the wrong person. They were suing the mayor when they were supposed to sue the accountant or the treasurer. I don't remember the exact position, but based on the fact that they recently beat Tiffany Henyard in court, I knew that this board meeting was gonna be a gem. However, there was a plot, a plan in place, a plan afoot, subterfuge going around, because this meeting started 53 minutes late. Now, normally they're not actually on time. Normally there's at least a 10 to 15 to 20 minute delay, but 53 minutes in an hour and 40-minute long meeting, a little questionable to say the least. And apparently, allegedly, the reason why they started so late is because of the very real and very true security threats that the police chief, who is a puppet of Tiffany Henyard, told us about, and they're very real.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of the board. Due to credible threats, that is one of the reasons why this meeting was delayed. We had to rearrange some things, but we do have credible threats in reference to this meeting tonight. Unfortunately, if there are any outbursts, if there are any clapping or anything that is, or if we get another credible threat, the meeting will be closed.
Now, to be 100% clear to everyone out there in the audience, if you're sending threats to the village of Dolton, if you're sending threats to our beloved super mayor, then you are my personal enemy, because I didn't get a full force meeting because of these threats and the repeated threat from the police chief to shut down this meeting over the supposed danger. So you actually hurt me, and I will never forgive you for that. That being said, this meeting, hilarious from top to bottom, as brief as it actually was. And it starts out with the public comment period. And we got a lot of people that are absolutely just fed up with the super mayor, with her administration, and with a board of trustees member in particular who has been accused of sexual impropriety that we covered in a previous video. And guess what? The guy that I speculated it was back in that video turns out to be that person. It's Trustee Holmes, I believe.
Make whatever comments you make. Ladies and gentlemen, when I said that the meeting will be closed, if there are any disruptions, this meeting will be shut down for another day. So please be conscious, let the people talk, and then we can move forward with this meeting. But I will not make this comment again.
So right off the top, what you see is the police chief threatening to close for any disruptions, and the disruptions that are indicative of a public safety threat, according to this police chief, who of course is a puppet of the super mayor, are clapping, cheering, applauding, or anything of the sort related to going against the super mayor, because remember, this is North Korea, and this is the dictator super mayor Tiffany Henyard's top puppet, top attack dog.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. I wanted to come out tonight as a neighboring resident in the village of Riverdale, and I like to see people involved in the media, but here it is. I have an indicted mayor that's serving in our community, and we don't have this much media coverage going on. But we over here having media coverage here, and we don't put out the good things that is happening.
Look, I'm not going to pretend that automatically anybody who comes in to comment in favor of Tiffany A. Henyard is suspect just because they seem to support Tiffany Henyard. But I'm just saying, it's kind of suspicious right here. Here you have a guy who came to this meeting. And by the way, it was absolutely chaotic getting into this meeting, which we'll get into a little bit later, to say that he's from the neighboring town, and that neighboring town has an indicted mayor, which is unsurprising. Illinois has the most prosecutions for corruption of any state in the union. So the fact that the neighboring town over also has a corrupt mayor should be a shock to no one. And he says, listen, leave Tiffany Henyard alone. I would love to have Tiffany A. Henyard as my mayor. I'm over there and you guys aren't even talking about that indicted mayor. Instead, you're talking about this cartoon supervillain that really should not get the attention that she's getting. But the thing is, she's just a better story. She's more over the top in her corruption, and we are waiting for indictments.
You guys got to connect the dots. D-O-T-T-S. Dots.
Also, don't think that I didn't notice that he didn't spell dots correctly. I'm pretty sure dots is one T. There's one T in dots, not two T's. But you know, just saying.
Good evening, Mary Avon, resident of Dolton. To all the department heads sitting on the dais, for the last few meetings, you've decided to share your comments and your feelings. We don't want it and we don't need it. You are not allowed to answer any of the residents' concerns. So why would I hope or want to hear anything from you other? You don't know if you don't live here or pay taxes here, but your thoughts and concerns would be different if you did.
So the next person comes out and rightfully dismisses the previous guy who doesn't even live in this town, talking about how the super mayor is great. And she said, listen, if you lived here, you would actually understand what we're going through. And that makes a lot of sense. In the village of Dolton, their property taxes are very high in comparison to the neighboring areas. On top of that, there were proposed additional increases by the super mayor in order to supposedly pay for mental health, although I believe that her latest increase in taxation she's actually proposing in her position as the head of the Thornton Township Board of Supervisors, not in this position as the mayor. So yeah, these people are suffering. They're a low-income community. Median income, I believe, is $25,000. They have the mayor driving their village into debt, and at the same time, she's raising taxes, and at the same time, she's closing down businesses. So there's a bunch of different problems in the village of Dolton, and the idea that you're going to come from a neighboring town and say, hey, look, our mayor was actually indicted and still continues to serve, so you guys need to love on the super mayor is ridiculous in every possible way. This lady, on point.
Number two, Andrew Holmes, in his absence, maybe he's in the back listening. The nerve of you to sit in the seat as a trustee here with the allegations. The people put you in the seat to serve as a trustee to the residents, not to the mayor. You say you're an activist of law enforcement? Well, I was an officer in the trenches for 25 years. That meant doing the work, not talking the talk, not looking for a camera at every turn. I was locking people up, even took a bullet, all in the name of being a public servant for the people. In light of the allegations, I, as a resident of Dolton, former law enforcement officer and female, along with other Dolton residents, would like to see you display some integrity and step down pending the outcome of this investigation. And to our attorney, it is a disgrace that you will not explain to this body what the rules of the First Amendment are. Total violation, so continue to get your check.
So first of all, I love the way that she ended that, because she calls it a violation of the First Amendment that you're saying you're going to cancel the board meeting because of cheers and clapping and whatnot. 100% right. This is just police enforcement gone amok, but considering what we've seen and what we know about the Dolton Police Department, this is unsurprising. Again, Tiffany Henyard won them over by paying them exorbitant amounts of overtime.
The officers are paid every 2 weeks, which without overtime is 80 hours. But when they're put on Henyard's detail, that 80 hours balloons to well over 100 hours, sometimes 200 hours. And in the case of Officer Terry Young last May, 303 hours worked over a 2-week period. That resulted in a single paycheck of more than $13,000.
How does a person put in a 2-week pay period, 303 hours? That's impossible. That's impossible.
336
Does he
hours.
never go to sleep?
In fact, there are 336 hours total in 2 weeks.
She replaced the previous police chief with this idiot, this puppet of hers, so it's unsurprising that he's going to threaten to use thuggish and brutish tactics in order to protect Tiffany Henyard from being embarrassed at this meeting. Now, as for the Andrew Holmes thing and whether or not he should resign, if I'm being perfectly honest, as of right now, they are allegations, and just because I think Tiffany A. Henyard is corrupt in 18 different ways doesn't mean that I believe necessarily that that case is true or there should be punishment before that case is adjudicated. Now, Holmes has a whole host of other problems. The fact that he's on these Vegas trips, on these expensive vacations paid for by the taxpayer should be enough for him to resign, but I would like to see the conclusion of that investigation before I totally condemn him. It could be an example of a situation where Henyard is vulnerable, her people are vulnerable due to crimes and issues that they actually committed, and then a disgruntled employee ends up filing a suit. So I would wait at least until further information comes out about that, unless it's proven true, before I demand absolutely the resignation of him over that. Now, should he resign for other reasons? 100%. Undeniably so. I mean, they're so corrupt in the village of Dolton, and here you have a trustee going hand in hand with this mayor on all those trips and all these dinners and all these other things. He should resign over that, but I don't know about these allegations, although it is really bothering members of the village of Dolton, and they are the constituents, so the decision should be up to them to a certain extent, obviously at the ballot box, but pressuring them, I understand that.
All right,
All right.
next person.
One more time, I'm sorry, Madam Mayor.
Oh, go ahead.
One more time, I am clearing the room, okay? Okay, Ms. Avant, no, they don't. When it's a safety issue, it falls under the police department.
So again, you have the police chief talking about how if there's one more outburst, one more round of applause, he's going to close the meeting because it's a safety issue. I fail to see how, if there are credible threats against the super mayor, clapping and cheering are somehow making those threats real. Maybe the threats say, we're going to get her as soon as the steel clapping starts. It doesn't make any sense. The police chief is being ridiculous right here. He's looking for a reason to cancel this meeting, which, by the way, makes the conclusion of this meeting all the more entertaining because, you know, it's going to get canceled, but they're going to pretend that they're mad about it, even though they've been threatening this the whole time.
I'm tired of our rules and regulations change every time we have a meeting. Okay? First of all, it's not public comment because the ordinance have never, ever been changed. Correct me if I'm wrong, Trustee House. Right. So is that the 2 minutes or y'all got something else going on? Okay. Let me know. And well, you know what you're doing. You're violating our rights. And that's a shame that our rights are being violated. For clapping, they tried to put me out last month, you know, and it don't make sense. Make this make sense to me.
So here you have Valerie Stubbs, who is the former board of trustees, the one that actually, in the newspaper at least, accused Tiffany A. Henyard of orchestrating a drive-by shooting at one of her properties. Henyard has also showed up there multiple times harassing Valerie Stubbs. We actually showed you the video of that shooting, and you can see it right here. And she talks about how they changed the rules at every single meeting on what can and can't be done, and it is clearly and obviously a violation of the rights of the residents, and I 100% agree.
Mary, I'm asking for Andrew Holmes to step down, which he shouldn't have never been in that seat in the first place because he never lived here. So stop blowing smoke up the residents' behinds because this is ridiculous and I'm tired of it. Mayor, you might as well step down too, you know, because I'm tired of that too. You know, this is a disgrace that you have done to this village. You thought that other fellow was bad? No, this is 1,000 times worse than what he could ever be. You know, and they say that you're the worst mayor in America. I agree.
Again, you could just see they're pulling the mic away and all of that. They're telling her to wrap it up, trying to cut the comment period as short as possible. But you gotta love that, where she concludes with, "You're the worst mayor ever in America," and I definitely agree. And let's be honest, this is likely to be true, at least as of right now. Maybe we will discover another hidden gem out there in the world, another more terribler mayor. But the thing is, Tiffany Henyard is so public and so prominent and so interested in self-promotion, it's hard not to notice that she's absolutely awful at her job, although she seems to think her job is promoting Tiffany Henyard, and we are talking about her, so maybe she's doing something right, and by that I mean she's doing nothing right.
Good afternoon, good evening, our fellow residents of Dolton. I want to take this time to express my deepest gratitude to Tiffany Henyard and her team for their commendable efforts to better our community.
Again, I don't want to come off as super biased or anything like that. I don't want to just say, because you support the super mayor, because you're into Tiffany Henyard, then therefore you're bought off, therefore you're a plant by the super mayor. But this woman rolls up in here, takes out a piece of paper where she has all her talking points written down to talk about and cheer on the super mayor, and she's got a smile on her face like she knows she's doing something quite suspicious. So I'm just saying, I would take this with a grain of salt, considering we have all these different reports of streetlights being seized, areas not being paid, all this money being owed to all these other people, and even the super mayor acknowledges at one point in time that nobody will do work for the village on promises. They need to be paid up front.
This is my olive branch to you, and I'm gonna keep saying it. Please fact check before you write about something that you know nothing about, because you're in the middle of our political fight, as you can see. We didn't pay nobody today. No bills got approved. How do we fix the light poles on people's blocks that they're crying about? Because the way y'all got it, people want to get paid first before they come out and do work for us. That's bad. We a whole village, a whole municipality, and we can't get things done because of all of this negativity on our village. And what hardens my, I won't say hard my heart, what hurts my heart is when you got board members hurting their time. Board members that's in government like me that don't care about where we're gonna go in the next 6 months, year, 2 years. Because at the end of the day, when the smoke clears, we still gotta live here. We still gotta get along. We still gotta move forward no matter what. And we have to fix the chaos and the stuff that you left behind, guys, by just writing negative stories. That's not right. I don't see y'all doing that in them upper areas like how y'all be dragging us over here. I don't see y'all. But yet us every day, all day, y'all got us on your station. That's not cool.
And this woman's talking about how she's killing it.
As a longtime resident of Dolton, I have witnessed the transformative impact of 3 different administrations. However, it is under Mayor Henyard's tenure that I have felt the most connected and valued. In the short time the mayor has been in office, she has accomplished more for the community than any of her predecessors did in their entire term.
Look, she was saying that she witnessed the transformation, transformative, it says transformative on my paper, impact of 3 different administrations, but the super mayor, Tiffany Henyard, has accomplished more in her small amount of time in office than any other person in human existence. She's basically like better than any president of the United States in making change on a global scale, and she did that all right here in Dolton, so I don't care how much she spends on anything. Also, my bank account's right here. Please wire me the money, Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard, because I said the things you wrote down for me on the paper. Now, I made up that last part to be clear, but you know, maybe I didn't.
Good evening. I'm almost rendered speechless by that last public commenter. Some people are easy to please, I guess.
So I love the fact that this woman comes up to give her own speech. And again, she doesn't have anything written on paper. She doesn't have anything scripted. And the first thing she says is that she's rendered almost speechless by the previous person. Like, some people are easy to please, obviously a shot at this woman's intelligence, obvious confusion and whatnot, considering all the controversies that are surrounding the super mayor. But she gets into her thing. We'll play a little bit of it, but we got to get to some of the heavy hitters in this.
But first of all, what's going on out there is ridiculous. I understand safety, and if there was a credible threat, as you say, Chief Lacey, There should have been a better plan in place. People should have been informed. People show up expecting to come to a public meeting and to have access. So this is the result of not having a structured plan in place for the credible threat that you said was warranted.
So this woman calls out a lot of the same things that other people call out, so I'm not going to bore you with the replay of that. However, she does highlight some of the problems that people had getting into the building for this particular meeting, and she points out that the police chief, instead of saying credible threats at the meeting, should have informed people in advance, because people were being shoved and pushed in, and eventually the police decided that they were going to bar off large swaths of the public from this particular meeting, and they're saying it's due to safety. But remember the stories that we've covered about Tiffany Henyard, not only in the village of Dolton, but at the Thornton Township, forcing people into the basement in order for them not to be able to make public comment, locking people out of the village meeting room, which is where they're at right now, locking government officials out of the village meeting room, and all of these other things that she's done in order to avoid accountability. So it seems like this is what's actually going on. But again, if anybody issues a threat against the super mayor, how dare you? Shame on you. I want these meetings to go on. My only regret in life is the fact that they're not 6 hours long. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can hear it in the background of this particular video, but there actually are a bunch of different people that are screaming, shouting, yelling, and whatnot outside of the building due to the fact that they were locked out for this particular meeting.
Good evening to everyone, to the mayor, the trustees, and all the residents here. I have not been in Dolton as long as many of you, but under Mayor Henyard, I have seen things change for the seniors and things that she have done and what things she have done for me and my spouse personally. The problem is we are divided, and when you are divided, we will fall. So we need to come together and support her. You might not agree with me, but that is my opinion. Together we stand, divided we fall. And understand that will be just like the children of Israel in the Bible when Moses went up and got the commandments and came down and everybody was doing their own thing. And they've been traveling around in the wilderness for the longest. And if we keep up with this attitude, we will be traveling around in the wilderness for a long time also. Thank you.
Listen, again, I just want to say it for everybody out there in the audience. I'm not just saying if you support Tiffany Henyard, you're obviously a weirdo, you're obviously being paid off or whatever. But this lady just compared the super mayor, the corrupt super mayor who's stealing all this money, to Moses going up Mount Sinai, getting the 10 Commandments and bringing it down to the people. That's a thing that just happened. You just heard that with your ear parts, and I'm supposed to pretend that this is not abnormal, that this is not weird. You have a mayor that's getting all this national controversy. During the recall election, which was later declared unconstitutional, she lost that particular election. You have all these voters complaining, all these business owners complaining, but somehow, not only in the village of Dolton does she still have supporters, which is unsurprising. Obviously, she's going to have some support, but the supporters say she's like Moses with the 10 Commandments. The super mayor is a biblical figure, and I'm supposed to pretend that's a normal, rational take and not something that is possibly coming from Henyard. I don't know what else to say to this.
I would like to buttress on what the person from Riverdale had to say. And he was talking about the meetings and scheduled meetings, and we shouldn't be having the squirrel meetings or whatever they're called. But ever since I've been in Dolton, there were 2 meetings scheduled each month, the 1st and the 3rd of each Monday of each month. That hasn't happened in, I know, at least 10 or 11 months. And I'd like to know why.
Now, this lady points out something that we talked about on this channel, that they have actually canceled 11 consecutive meetings in the village of Dolton. They're actually supposed to meet the 1st and 3rd Monday of every month. And that second meeting, I believe that the one that's on the 3rd Monday of every month, never happens or hasn't happened for 11 months. So this is one of the reasons why government is grinded to a halt, because Tiffany Henyard doesn't want to have these meetings. And when the village trustees end up meeting together, she calls them secret squirrel meetings where they do secret squirrel stuff.
All right, so last time I came, I was kind of muted. So I just want to make sure that I'm not muted this time, because I do want the mayor, Tiffany Henyard, to step down. I need Keith Freeman to quit today, resign, because you are not what we need for Dolton. I grew here, and I know you grew here too. You used to get bullied. So allegedly, let me say that. But I know you grew here too. However, you have messed up our town. I've been a resident in Dolton for over 30 years. Tiffany knows this because I'm sure that that's the reason why she didn't do what she was supposed to do.
So this next woman is actually the first woman that came up in the previous meeting, the one that we said was muted for half of her speech, and she's fiery. She realizes that her speech wasn't recorded, so she's come prepared. And when you hear her story and why she's so mad at the super mayor, you really, really understand it. Although I will say, we're in another situation where because of the way that she's hugging the mic and whatnot, you don't really, you lose a lot of what she's saying when she's yelling. I'm just pointing that out. I'm sorry, lady. I know you're bringing the passion, you're bringing the fire, but maybe next month when you start yelling, just back away from the microphone a little bit.
However, Tiffany, to everybody, every resident, I'm sorry. I apologize if I seemed irate. I had my radiation today. I have cancer. Of course I do. Tiffany stole money from a cancer foundation. How dare you? How dare you steal? And I helped you with your campaign. How dare you steal from us? I had to buy my wigs. Are you going to reimburse me for the wigs that I've been spending my money on? Are you going to reimburse me? Let me know if I'm going to get my money back, Tiffany. Because I helped you with your vision to get in that seat. You told me that you was going to run and make a change for Dolton. You didn't make a change for Dolton. I'm sorry, I got a little anxiety because I don't like getting pushed and stuff in crowds because I'm disabled. But y'all don't even care to let the disabled in first. That should have been your first concern. When you talk about the credible threat outside, I'm really sick. I had radiation today. So I came here because I want you to get out of our town. You're a renter here. You don't even own in Dolton. So get out. Leave. We don't want you here. You or your administration. Y'all need to go.
So look, I absolutely love the fire right here. It turns out that this woman supported the super mayor during her campaign. She ended up donating her time and possibly her money to her. And she points out that she has cancer. She just came from radiation therapy. They talked about how, oh, they care so hard about the safety issue and whatnot, but they were pushing and shoving disabled people in order to get them in the village hall because they have that thing locked down. And it turns out she's really irate that Tiffany Henyard stole money from a cancer charity. Now, to be clear about that, that's not technically true. And the reason why that's not true is because she never really filed the necessary paperwork to actually be a cancer charity. So she set up a fake cancer charity and ended up stealing money from that.
I want people to know that I'm caring.
Tiffany Henyard told me in November she cares. Apparently so much so, it's also the name of her charity.
Check it out.
The Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation posts videos highlighting walks and other events that prominently feature the politician proudly promoting her cancer charity.
I just want people to know that, hey, Tiffany Henyard Cares Foundation is here. We will help anybody in need.
She certainly may help some, but Henyard's charity has failed to file required financial statements showing income and expenses. WGN Investigates obtained this letter from December in which the Illinois Attorney General threatened civil penalties are imposed against persons who do not register with this office as required.
And by the way, we talked about this before, how she ended up appropriating money from the Thornton Township to that charity to the tune of $10,000, but then she started charging things to the credit cards for their walk, hotel expenses and all that of over $10,000. But one of the tricks that Henyard actually ends up doing a lot is when she gets busted up on charges by the person who oversees the finances in Thornton Township, she'll actually do a chargeback and recharge those on the Dolton Town cards. So yeah, she is technically right that Tiffany Henyard stole money from them in order to fund her fraudulent charity.
Thank you. Oh, and Cooper's Park, August 31st. I'm doing an event. I have a non-for-profit for tumor awareness. It's actually a real charity cancer that charity that I have. Thank you.
So I do like that she punctuated this whole thing by promoting her own event, her own cancer charity thing and whatnot. And the guy tries to grab the mic as he did to every other person, but she just grabs it and is like, listen, I'm proposing this. Like and subscribe. Share it on social media. I got a real charity. Tiffany Henyard, fake charity, fake news, fake mayor. Hater, and I love the fact that she's advocating for the banishment of Henyard. It's not resign for her, it's get out of our town. Leave. You're out of here.
So I came here because I want you to get out of our town. You're a renter here. You don't even own in Dolton. So get out. Leave. We don't want you here. You or your administration. Y'all need to go.
Now look, I recommend you watch what is available from this board meeting for yourselves to see all the different residents that got angry. However, there was one case that I found particularly interesting where it was a girl that basically has parents that are advocating for justice against the Dolton police because they say she was killed in a police stop unjustifiably.
My sister actually used my middle name because she was afraid that you wouldn't let me speak. I'm Cara Wilson. I'm the mother of Alexis Wilson, killed by Dolton, Illinois police. At the time that my daughter was killed, Tiffany stood in front of a microphone much like this and said that she stood with the cops and they did do the right thing by killing my 19-year-old child. Not only did she not take those words back, she didn't offer her condolences. She's never said anything. The first thing she did was hire this group of security guards to surround her and PR. So the real reason Tiffany has security is hiding from accountability about what she said about Alexis Wilson when she was killed. Now, if you watch the coverage of this murder, these officers violated her rights, reached in her car, jumped in her car, and put 7 bullets in my child, 2 in her head and 5 down her side. And the next day, you guys tried to spin it like she did something. Watch the video. She did nothing to deserve this. And again, last time they brought up Alexis, she's doing what she does now. Look this way, look that way, every way, but at the person talking. You don't give a damn, and you never did. And you never acted like it. She called out a whole press conference to call my daughter a criminal, and Homewood Flossmoor graduate with no criminal record. But Tiffany, you have one because we used your mugshot to protest in front of your house. And that's why you hid. That's why you have security.
Now look, I don't know the particulars of their case. If I'm being perfectly honest, I will look into that and follow up in a future video. I just don't have the time right now. But I do find it hilarious that they said they painted her daughter as a criminal who had no criminal record, but Tiffany Henyard had a criminal record, and then they started chanting and whatnot, and the police chief tried to use this as a way to cancel the meeting. However, that was not the case, and eventually they ended up just removing the people that were shouting, which, by the way, I think is the way to go if people are disrupting that much and it has to be a problem. Don't pretend there's all these security threats. Do what's proper. So I will look into this particular case. I'll look at the body cam footage if available, and we will examine whether or not this is a legit police shooting that probably got no coverage because it's a black town, black police department, and of course a black person being killed, and those stories aren't as interesting unless a potentially evil white racist cop is the one who did the shooting. So I will actually look into this case because they brought it up. Just right now, I don't have the time to delve into it.
So let's tell the truth, which I know you're incapable of. I wouldn't trust this woman if she stood on a stack of Bibles and had her tongue notarized. Not a damn thing she says comes out her mouth is true.
I love that line right there where she says, I wouldn't trust this woman if she was standing on a stack of Bibles and her tongue was notarized. A+, first class all the way. And like I said, I will be looking into her daughter's case to see what I could find out, to see what I could suss out, because the Dolton police are quite sketchy and they should be looked into and greeted with unbelievable suspicion.
I want to thank everybody for staying that actually came here to hear what we do in the village of Dolton. As you just saw, is chaos amongst our 4 trustees. They didn't come here to handle the business. They came here to do a political theater stunt, which you just saw. We didn't get through any business as it relates to a scheduled board meeting here in our village, which we're supposed to do. But yeah, everybody cry about meetings and we should have more. Why have more meetings when it's going to just be chaotic like this? Our job is to make sure we take care of the business and not allow the business to handle us, which you just saw before you. It's a shame that every time it's time to really take care of things, such as making sure payroll is paid. Because guess what? They didn't vote on paying the police, the public works, making sure your concrete is down. They did not vote on none of that. But this is the things that I face as a mayor here in the village of Dolton. And it's sad because you're seeing it with your own 2 eyes.
Now, one of the funniest things about this particular meeting is that after the public comment period, the Board of Trustees, which of course has a 4-2 majority against the super mayor, decided that if they were going to keep invoking the potential threats, the potential credible threats, then you know what? We're going to adjourn this meeting and have it April 8th. And Henyard was not having it. She was absolutely livid. She was like, we're going to do the business right here. We ain't coming back for no April 8th meeting. And as she was ranting, they voted 4-1 because the other guy is not here to adjourn the meeting until next week. And then she had an absolute meltdown.
People tell you false information with no facts and y'all run and y'all write it. Y'all know y'all can destroy people's lives by just writing things that's not true. And then later that person has to sit there and try to fix what you guys have broken because y'all have a national platform. So this is my outreach to the media, which I said it several times. Please Please do your research. You guys call yourself journalism. Please research the stuff before y'all put things on your national platform and hurt people that should not be political damage because y'all want to make a story for clickbait. That's all right. And I get it. People sell their souls. I get it. You want to be the hottest thing right now. I get it. You guys go and y'all get awards for who got the best story. I get it. But please stop destroying people's lives and tell the truth, please. And then if you follow me, y'all should have paid attention to the Tiffany Henyard on the Move podcast. All the things that y'all posted, which was all fake and false, I showed y'all the truth. Y'all get the same footage I had, but none of y'all played it. Y'all had to make it like we was lying, like I was lying. But you guys was telling lies, and that's not cool. So that is my information to you guys. So I don't know how y'all gonna spin this meeting or say whatever, but show the facts. All the trustees walked out because they couldn't have their way. And that's not how government works.
So look, I was hoping for some fireworks with the super mayor. She lost a case recently in court. I was hoping they were going to make fun of her because she had been claiming that she was 25-0. But seeing her melt down as they cancel the meeting, then try to resume the meeting, and even her puppet police chief, when he goes off, deciding to just throw in the towel that they have to come back next week, is absolutely glorious. And I will be looking forward to that next meeting, although my little bit of a prediction for you guys out there in the audience is the fact that Tiffany Henyard is going to lock them out over that postponed meeting for April 8th. But really good troll move by the Board of Trustees to have the public comment period, deal with the fact that the police chief made the meeting start almost an hour late, and then was threatening people every time they clapped and cheered that he was going to shut it down, to then shut it down on the super mayor, who again supposedly is concerned about her own safety, just to have her melt out, start ranting, and all that at the end of this thing. And we will see what happens next week. We will see what the super mayor would do, because I think it's going to be a canceled meeting and a whole other mess, a whole other kerfuffle. And she's still complaining about the media promoting her podcast, which, by the way, we have to review the first episode of her podcast, but that again will be for another time. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this down in the comments below. If you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on my social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the super mayor going absolutely crazy. Till next time.